when you're talking about global luxury brands, we are very fortunate to have a brand that the consumer knows, recognizes, and has a level of expectation of quality. That's pretty priceless. So if you start with that, and then you couple it with the depth of resources that we have behind us with our parent company, that is extremely powerful. And I think the last piece and the most important one is it brings and attracts the most incredible people. And that's what really brings a brand to life.
Today's guest has been recognized as one of the most influential leaders in real estate. He has a proven track record for helping brokerages reach new levels of success. And now he brings that expertise to the world's premier luxury real estate network. Gavin Swartzman is president of Christie's International Real Estate, where he oversees the brand's global expansion and strategy. In this episode, Gavin shares his take on the biggest opportunities for agents right now and the single most important quality in every relationship. He also talks about his roots, his rhythm, and the road that led him from South Africa to where he is today. Gavin, thank you for joining me on Core Values. I really appreciate you being here. Yeah, I know you are busy. You're oftentimes running around in a plane. I know that right now you are moving new locations, wrapping up things in Canada, but also are trying to settle into
transit,
Chicago. Yeah. So before we get into all the amazing things that you are doing and kind of this new career you've launched into with Christie's, I want to find out a little bit more about where you came from. Your life has taken you across the globe, lots of different locations. Tell us about yourself, starting even when, kind of where you grew up. Because I remember when I met you, I thought, I can't place that accent, but it's got to be from somewhere, and it's not Chicago.
It's not here, yeah. So I was actually born in South Africa.
Okay.
And moved when I was 13 years old. So people often say, well, how come you moved to Canada? And it's like, well, the people that fed me, they moved. And the reason my accent is a little weird is that, as we learned through a friend of ours who was a professor of linguistics, the age of 13 is this pivotal age. If you move when you're older, it's a baked-in accent. It'll never change. If you move when you're younger, it changes in a minute. So I'm like that weird spot. So my sisters are younger than me. My youngest sister was, I think, in first grade, and she lost her accent literally within 2 weeks.
Okay.
The other sister still, you would never recognize an accent at all. And then I'm this mutt.
Kind of like this hybrid version of an accent. Yeah, that's great. All right. So you've lived in Canada, though. You moved there when you were 13. And then tell me just a little bit about how you got to where you are today, sitting as president of Christie's International Real Estate.
So it's a long and windy road. But what I will say is this. So you come as a South African immigrant, and they're very traditional. Your parents are very traditional in their educational choices. So you've got accountant, doctor, lawyer, engineer. That's it. There's no other choice. So I respected my parents and my father immensely. And if you say you want to be in business, it's great. You'll be a CPA. That's kind of how it goes. So I dutifully followed, and I did my CPA. I went to the top school that there was. I got my master's in finance and accounting. Graduated as the gold medalist, valedictorian, the whole
Did
nine
all
yards.
the things you were supposed to.
I was supposed to do. And as part of it, you also had this work study program. So by the time I graduated and wrote the final exams, I had all my work experience that you needed to be a fully qualified CPA. So I dutifully left at that point and started my career in business. And I started it with this big company that was in hospitality, food services, retail, even school bus transportation. It was a weird mix of different things, but it gave me a taste test of a wide variety of different businesses and exposure to operations like finance and all these things. And I was working with some really great people. So that sort of set the foundation for what I would consider to be the most foundational move that I had, which was when I joined a company called MDC Partners, which was in the advertising space. And we grew that to be top 10 global marketing and advertising companies in the world with about 50 different ad agencies. And so I learned to work with founders who were selling their companies to us, the talent that was in there. Even though I was completely opposite to any of these creative people because I'm like a finance guy, but we got along amazingly.
Yeah.
But what I really understood through that is the power of human capital and how partnership works in harnessing that. And I think that became really applicable to the real estate space, because as I always say to people, if you look at the talent in our world, it's not a linear progression of sort of average, above average, and great. It's like exponential. And so we see it in our industry. I can promise you see it in the advertising space, the difference between someone who is a great creative and someone who is average is night and day. And then interspersed in that, a wealth management business. So same thing, you learned about what does it take to manage people's portfolios and the responsibility that those people have. So that sort of created a real foundation for me. And then the founder of the advertising company had started this real estate business called Peerage Realty Partners. And at that time, it had two companies. Ironically, its very first company, a company called Chestnut Park, was and is a Christie's International Real Estate affiliate. And the other company was a company called Baker Real Estate, which was a really great pre-construction project marketing company. So I came in there to grow and create a strategy for how we're going to grow this company. And the experience with Christie's International Real Estate via Chestnut Park really formed the foundation of where we ultimately took this company, which was to focus on the high end and on the luxury space, but broadly defined. And we'll talk about, hopefully get to talk about luxury, but like it, you know, the higher end area was really where we wanted to focus. And that really set the stage. As it turns out, we grew the company to be top 10 in the US. But what made it really unique is that a lot of our growth actually came through becoming a really large affiliate of Sotheby's International Realty. So I was this, you know, very unique position where we actually had both of the globally luxury recognized brands under one roof.
Wow. I mean, you know, you summed it up in probably about 5 minutes, but what an amazing career. And what I really appreciate is the fact that your dad had these very specific guardrails of what you could be when you grow up, because I come from a family of 6 kids, Irish Catholic. And in order for me to go to college, I had to like interview with my dad. He was, and I had a couple of different options, and he was like, that's a no-go. And so same to you, it was like business. I could be an engineer or I could get into the medical field. So I went business, very similar to you. I was actually an accounting major for a hot second until I realized I don't like balancing my checkbook, and I don't really care if one side equals the other or balances each other out, right? But I just appreciate that, you know, you went to school for one thing, but I just love that nothing replaces experience and the experience and engagement with people who aren't like you, and learning from the creative types, you know, and probably learning some of the things they do to be able to build relationships and get people to work together. Because one thing I do know, when I talked to Thad about you coming on board, he said, I have never met someone who had so many individuals who had worked for and with him send the amount of letters of gratitude of what you taught them, how you aligned with them, and how you really just were an amazing person to be able to work with and for. So I don't want to make you blush, but I feel like nothing can replace that. And I bet so much of what you've done in your journey has been about building relationships, right? And
I think that's the key to everything. And I think that's unfortunately some of that gets lost in today's world, is that, you know, everything that you learn is a tool to help you, you know, be successful. But ultimately, it's relationships and trust that that make you more successful. And in fact, one of the biggest compliments I think I ever got was there was a top creative who ran one of the best companies inside of MDC, and he said to me, "How do I get my company to be in your portfolio?" And I said, "Well, like, what do you need? Why do you need me? Like, I've never worked a day in an ad agency in my life." And he said, "I'm surrounded by people across the world who've worked in every ad agency there is. So I got no shortage of people who can bring that perspective, but you just bring something, you know, a little different, you know, in terms of the variety of your background." I was like, wow, that's like the biggest compliment.
That's the biggest compliment we can get. That's great. And it's just, and honestly, it's the power of being you. And, you know, I think that's one of the things that we say to so many of our agents, like, you can learn so much, but lean into who you are and what you bring to the table. And that's magic all day long.
It is. And that's why there's so much opportunity for people to be the kind of person that they want to be, because everyone is a little different.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you come from a place of there's room enough for everyone
Yeah.
at the table, room enough for everybody to have success, it changes the landscape,
Totally.
right? Makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
All right. So it's been a few months since you've joined Christie's International Real Estate. How's it going?
It's going great.
Okay,
Loving
good.
it.
Good
Yeah,
answer. Good
yeah.
answer. So let me ask you this. What are your priorities coming in as president of the network? And are there any specific goals that you've got, let's say in the next 12 to 24 months?
So there's sort of there's two categories. One's personal, myself, and then the other's the business. So, on the personal side for me, it's still very much an opportunity to get to know everybody. We're a very large company. We're in a lot of geographies. And so, getting out there and starting to really get to know our affiliates and their agents and their markets, because there's a lot of unique attributes to all of them, is a very high priority for me personally, because I learn a lot through that. But sort of more broadly, it's an incredible opportunity to elevate everything that we're doing for our affiliates and their agents and ultimately to their customers. So a lot of my goals right now is elevating what that experience looks like, from the affiliate services team that we have here, marketing, the tech, and, I think most importantly, leveraging the power of the network and people's connections to each other, which ultimately translates into referral business and increased revenue for all. And then the other piece is strategic expansion into markets that were not present. So recently brought on a new colleague to work with us on that front as well.
That's great. That's exciting. And so I do know that when Thad had let me know that we had found the right candidate to fill the role that you're in now, he was extremely excited. And he said, Amy, when you meet this gentleman, you're going to know why he was just such the perfect fit. And I will tell you, I was at the Christie's conference where you got announced, and just rave reviews. I just think your whole approach, the way in which you can so easily relate with people is I can see already the amount of success you're going to be able to bring into the organization. So Thad obviously loved you at Hello, but I want to know what was your take on Thad and Mike when you first met them?
So this is a trick question. So interesting story. So the truth is, I avoided meeting Thad for the better part of 2 years. And the reason was, as I said before, is that we're in this unique position where we had Christie's International Real Estate and Sotheby's International Realty under the same roof. Now, full kudos to Sotheby's, because they sanctioned it, they gave approval for it, and all good. But I didn't know Thad. And when At Properties purchased the brand, my biggest fear, and my partners at Chestnut Park's fear, was that he was going to terminate the franchise.
Kill the deal, right?
He didn't agree to this thing. So I sort of made a pact with my partners at Chestnut Park that I would just keep a super low profile and avoid him at all costs, which I did. And then we were at a conference last year, and they had like this small intimate lunch, and they put us right next to each other.
Funny. No avoiding him now.
So now there's no avoiding Thad Wong. And so we start talking, and I'm like, we really hit this thing off. And we arranged to have a follow-up cup of coffee, which went for like 2 hours. And I was like, I really like him. And I remember texting my wife, and I said, I think I made a new friend, but I have to keep it a secret.
That's so great.
So that's kind of was the original the original foundation. And then we all did our own thing, and sort of reconvene more at the beginning of this year, because I had already, publicly announced that I was looking to do something different, and we reconnected, and he presented me with this like once in a lifetime opportunity here at Christie's International Real Estate. So he texted me in one weekend and said, like, you need to come to Chicago this week. And I was supposed to be in Florida, actually visiting my mother. So I flew up for the day. And that's where I had the opportunity to meet Mike for the first time.
Okay.
And what I really saw in that, having worked with founders and partners now for 25 years, is it's very rare to see a partnership, productively coexist for that length of time. And I really saw how this was such a powerful partnership between Mike and Thad. And I left, and I just go, I just hope I didn't screw it up, after meeting Mike, and that I still have this opportunity. But that's how it all came together.
Great. Yeah. It is interesting. They are quite this dynamic duo, and the way in which they can get along and have so many of the same thoughts, yet different thoughts, have different points of view. And they've really learned to work along each other's strengths too. Like Thad, so go all in 100%, and Mike kind of pulls back, but gives just enough that I think we always have forward
and I think
momentum.
that's the thing, you know, when people talk about partnerships, it's very cliche to say you get sort of someone who's your counterbalance, right? But that's not really true unless you have the ability to actually let go and defer to the other side when those circumstances merit it. Otherwise it's just motherhood stuff, but it doesn't actually work in real life. So it's very rare and special, and I think that explains why at properties it's just this impenetrable force in this market and wherever it's chosen to go.
Yeah, well, and I do think it's been interesting because I think they've taught a lot of us well. You know, I feel like we were talking about it since it's been our 25 years. You know, we were at a dinner and they were, thanking a lot of the founding members, some of the people who've been with us for 25 years. But I will say, I feel like they set the tone for everything. They taught us how to be. They taught us how to be authentic, not take yourself too seriously. Serious when you need to, but like they always are still having fun, and that's contagious. And I think that has always been one of the qualities that they've brought into almost any any conversation or anything that they've been doing.
And I was fortunate enough to be invited to that as a guest, and you could really see it. And I've told lots of people, I mean, I think the true test is the longevity of the people that have been around here for through thick and thin. It's great.
Long time. I feel like they're like my big brothers by this point. All right. So talking about Mike and Thad, I think one of the things too about the two of them is just the amount of trust they have in one another, and how they've sort of that has really been, I think, the foundation for their ability to grow and to scale. Not only did they trust their partnership together, but I've seen their ability to trust and empower the people that work with them. And I know that trust is always we've had this conversation before. It's been kind of a big buzzword sort of for you, in that you say it's the ultimate form of capital. Can you talk about that a little bit more and tell me, what people out there should be hearing as it relates to why trust matters so much?
Sure. I mean, if you speak to people that have worked with me over the years, they'll say he goes on and on like a broken record with these two words: trusted advisor, trusted advisor, trusted advisor. He never stops, because I really passionately believe that is at the core of everything that we do. So we can talk about technology, we can talk about mortgage, title, all these things. But if people don't trust you to do business with you in the first place, they don't care about any of those other things. And I do believe what's unique about the home buying and selling experience is that the information itself is becoming more and more freely available. There's AI is emerging right now to do a lot of that. So it's not a shortage of data. It's what to do with it, and then how to actually make the best decisions. And I think in those moments of truth, you need to have someone who you can truly trust to help guide you through that process. And I think as an industry, and I was on record on this because I spoke at a conference way back in 2022, and one of the questions they asked was, we all have the same basic questions, which is what keeps you up at night? What do you think is going to, be the biggest things that are going to rock the industry? This was 2022. I'm not saying I know a whole lot, but like I was the very last speaker. All very illustrious people spoke before me, and I said, what I see as the biggest issue facing this industry is a crisis of trust. I said, everyone's out, the DOJ, the press, and this is before the lawsuits got launched. And I said, if we've got one responsibility collectively, it's to address this issue. I wish, frankly, I'd done more with that in the moment, but I think we saw how that unfolded. But this is a time of a reset for everybody. But I do believe it's at the core of every relationship that you could possibly have, and I think that's the thing. It's not just a client agent relationship, but as you say, Thad and Mike, and how you feel, and I'm sure how your own team feels working with you. It's contagious.
Well, you just use that word "feel," and it makes me think of that Maya Angelou quote where it says, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget the way you make them feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's where trust comes in,
Totally.
right? Because it's like when you're passing somebody's name on or saying, why should I work with them? And the idea is that because they're going to do a great job, you can trust them.
Yeah.
Right. And that comes from this part in here, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I just know, like they're going to take care of me. They're not going to do bad by me. And I agree with you that is something that not just in our industry, but in a lot of industries, where people are taking out the human element, where we are losing trust. So I do think it's a huge opportunity.
Totally.
For
and
us.
I'm deeply appreciative of the trust that Mike and Thad have put in me. They've been, so amazing to work with. They've deferred to me on virtually everything. And I take that, extremely, extremely seriously because I think it's a two-way street, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible. All right. So there has been a lot of consolidation stuff going on in this industry. What's going to make a brand like Christie's really stand apart moving forward?
So I think Christie's International Real Estate is really in an incredible position. So start with the fact that I think there's one point that's often underrated amongst us in the industry because we're so focused on the companies that are in the industry. But if you think about brands that a consumer knows and it resonates with the consumer, that list gets a lot shorter.
Yeah.
And I would say that when you're talking about global luxury brands, we are very fortunate to have a brand that the consumer knows, recognizes, and has a level of expectation of quality. That's pretty priceless. So if you start with that, and then you couple it with the depth of resources that we have behind us through our parent company, that is extremely powerful. And I think the last piece and the most important one is it brings and attracts the most incredible people. And that's what really brings a brand to life. So having affiliate owners who are invested in the business as owners, who can bring a unique local culture that resonates with, with their agents and consumers, but having the benefit of a brand that makes a consumer feel safe and has a high expectation of, that's a pretty powerful combination.
Yeah, I love that. And, I think it has been interesting for our agents because we, were at properties for 20 years, right? Because I think we bought Christie's almost 5 years ago. And it took a while, but now I see so many of our agents really starting to see the benefit of, as you said, brand awareness, but it's also, for agents really trying to move into that luxury price point, right? And we oftentimes say luxury isn't just a price, it is a way of doing business or a level of service, right?
Yeah.
So tell me what you think are, some of the biggest opportunities for agents kind of leaning into that Christie's affiliation.
So I think, the first one clearly is it takes away any inhibitions that you might have about stepping up to that higher price point. Like you will get a foot in the door because the consumer will give you a chance. So I think of it as as a door opener. We have an aesthetic and a look and collateral that I think really helps to elevate that. Whether it's the online resources, I think the magazine is incredible. Like I've seen a whole bunch of them, but across the industry, but I think ours and the customization options that you have, nobody else has that. So we have a lot of resources that I think can really help an agent elevate their business and step into however you define luxury. It doesn't hold you back from reaching your highest objectives.
Yeah. And I'm starting to see more agents, especially for us, because At Properties has been such a strong brand locally. And at first I think it was, why do we need kind of this additional affiliation? But I'm starting to see that agents are really getting more of those phone calls, or I've had conversations with agents where they say a neighbor saw an At Properties Christie sign and they called me because they said, I want that same sign out in front of my house. And so it's the At brand, but it is really coupling with that Christie's brand. And it really kind of kicks this concept of national and international exposure, right?
And that's the other piece I was going to add is that if you think about taking a business beyond the immediate geography where you operate, as your clients evolve, they get into second homes. There's all these other natural evolutions. If you're following the life cycle of your clients, that the affiliation gives you a natural ability to refer that kind of business and grow your own business. So I think it's
and the network has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been the amount of people that I've even met at the Christie's conference, but just the platforms and the resource and the access that you all are giving through, the monthly networking events, the virtual opportunities to sit in on meetings. I think for an agent out there, if they haven't really explored all that's there, they should take the time to do that, because, you can be an agent that's located in Chicago, right? But I see agents who are saying, are you looking for somebody in Florida? Are you looking for somebody in California? I've had agents who've referred people to Europe because of this network. So it's like, for an agent, that has just multiplied your opportunity and your reach.
Totally. And one of the things you'll see us amp up and really step into are creating these affinity groups and really, connecting people who are at similar stages or at similar kind of properties. The list is quite endless. And once you get it going, it becomes a self-organizing group that really work amazingly together. So that's one of the areas I think I'd mentioned to you earlier, that my priority is to leverage the power of the connections in the network. Is we have a huge opportunity ahead of us there.
And if I'm an agent that's part of the Christie's network, whether it's here at or an affiliate somewhere else who's listening in right now, and suddenly says, wow, I didn't realize I really should be leaning more into the resources that Christie's is offering me. How do they get connected? What's the email, or who do they reach out to say, hey, I want to make sure that I'm on the email address for any of these affinity groups or ways to connect with
So
other
the first
agents?
thing they should do is speak to their owner, who's the connect. And every one of our affiliates has an affiliate services person that's working closely with them. And I would start through that route, and then we can take it from there. Our community. The other one is read the emails and stuff we send, right? Like sometimes
Gavin,
the answer
that can be really hard to do.
Right there. Check it out.
I know.
Because it's often you just got to look for it, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Read the email. But that's great. Those are some great tips for somebody to make sure they're getting connected with the right folks. So let's talk about a little reality that's happening in your life right now. I know you are in the process of selling your own home. I guess that's been probably a very fun and interesting experience, because I always say that every real estate agent should have to go through their own transaction like every 3 years to remember the pain, right? What have you learned from the experience that has informed you about the way you think the role of the broker, maybe even your network and your brand? Like, what are some of the ahas that you've had as being an actual seller through this process?
So it's been quite the experience. But what I would say is that what it has done is, more than anything, is reinforced how I have always felt. And that is, I believe what we do for a living, when done right, is extremely valuable. And it's a very stressful situation that people go through when they go through these. And so when people, talk about, their views on the industry, I always say to them, you actually have never had a great agent work for you, because if you did, you wouldn't say that. So I was very fortunate. It's a hard choice, because I know a lot of really fantastic agents, but I worked with someone from Chestnut Park, Christie's International Real Estate, who I've known for a long time. Her name's Eileen Laswell. And she came in, and she, we have this home that we've we've got a lot invested in it emotionally, and my wife's an interior designer, so it's like, it's a beautiful home in a great neighborhood. And she just was really so sensitive to the emotions. And she also knew all along that if we weren't going to get a fair price, I wasn't going to sell. And I would just get a really, really small place here in Chicago. And that was really the balancing act, was that in order for us to make this feel good, I wanted to get a fair price where I could get a place that would be, kind of great for, my wife and family to be here in Chicago, but also keep a small presence in Toronto. So the task was, was high. But the advice that she gave, and I think the other part is just, everything got done, right? But I think the part that's really important from the agent side to understand is, it's also very hard work when you're the seller. It's no matter how much work they do, it is so much work.
You still have to physically move out of your house, right?
And so, but it's a partnership. And I think what it reinforces when you have a trusted relationship, That's ultimately what it's all about. But like I had a time where we moved a large piece of furniture, and the buyers were coming in the next day to do an inspection, and we realized that the trim behind it had not been painted.
Oh yeah.
So
who was painting that trim at midnight?
quickly text her. She's got a handyman person to go.
Yeah.
How quickly can your guy get here? Because the buyers are coming in tomorrow for one of their inspections. He was there within an hour.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's that kind of...
And it's that type of agent that has that person who they can say, you need to drop everything.
Get there.
I got some baseboards that need a little bit of work.
Took him 15 minutes. But the benefit that he got is I was decluttering. And I had all these tools.
Oh. Did you give him some of your tools?
And I said, are you interested in any tools? And he took them all.
Oh, well, especially when you're in the home stretch of moving out, it's like anything that's left. It's like, please just somebody take it. I don't even care if it's worth anything. Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I can appreciate that because we moved not so long ago, and it is stressful, and it doesn't matter how many times you've done it. Even if you help people or are in the industry, when it's you, it's still really, really hard.
It's like, that's a good doctor. They make the worst patients, right?
Totally. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about the fact that I see you in the office. You're always dressed fabulously. You've got your great sport coats on. You do have some cool fashion tennies, but I wouldn't necessarily think that you would scream rock star. However, you do have a little bit of a double life. A rumor has it that you are a bit of a mean drummer, and you've played in a few bands. So tell me a little bit about this double life, and how does it help you in being better at your job in real estate?
So think about the options, CPA or...
I know, right?
I think it's a good thing I took my father's advice. It's actually, first of all, I think it's really important to have a creative outlet, whatever that is. And for some reason, as a little kid, we're on a vacation and I saw a band playing and I was just like absolutely besotted by the drums. It just like, so I became like super passionate about it. And I have often thought about how does it relate to, to being in business and especially in our business. So if I can be a little facetious, and then I'll get serious about it. One thing about the drums is you can hand a pair of sticks to anybody and they can whack those drums and it'll make a noise, usually pretty loud. Yeah. And the louder the noise, the less they actually know what they're doing. So that's actually kind of a little bit of a parallel when I think about some of what we hear in our own industry. But here's where I'd say it really does come to light. And that is if you listen to a skilled drummer, it's their ability to control volume. It's the offbeats. It's the subtle things that they do that make it sound really magical and sort of take a beat and turn it into a groove. Wow. And when I think about what an agent does, like we just talked about a few minutes ago, it's the behind the scenes stuff. Like she didn't go to the Yellow Pages or Google to quickly find a painter, like that was already networked in something that she had worked really hard to do. So I think it's those things. And of course, like anything else, if you practice really hard, you make it look easy. And but that's anything but the case. When you amplify that to playing in a band, then you really get to see what it's like to be, I think in business in general, but especially in ours, in that it's all teamwork. Everybody's got to be in sync. Everybody's got a role to play. You need to communicate. Yeah. And in the drums especially, you're not usually center stage. Yep. But you're a critical part, but it's been said, there's no such thing as a great band that doesn't have a great drummer, even though they're not center stage. And I can tell you when you're in a recording studio, the first track that gets laid down is the drums because everything has to build off of that, rotate around that, and it picks up the slightest mistake you make. Like it's crazy. Wow. Yeah. But when you're live, you don't get a chance to do a retake. You've got to be flexible and work within the moment. So I think, there's so many parallels to what happens in real life. Yeah, but I love it because I think the biggest thing is it's like not about your ego, right? Yeah. It's about kind of having a team and knowing your part. And and I also was thinking of the word finesse, right? Like when you're really good at something, it's just you're finessing it versus trying to force something. Exactly. And then when something goes wrong, you just keep on going. Grooving and moving, right? Yeah. I'm curious before we get into this next round,
Any like favorite drummers or anybody that like you really admire, knowing that that's what you love to do?
You have to be patriotic and say
Yeah.
Neil Peart from Rush.
Okay.
But besides him, Carter Beauford, who plays for Dave Matthews Band, is incredible.
Yeah.
And and I also love Stuart Copeland from The Police. And if you listen to both those guys, it's just my personal taste. Very sophisticated, subtle, tight, but it's not just all about speed. There's like real touch.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I just love that. I did not know that until we were going to sit down to meet that you played the drums. So can't wait to be able to hear you live at some point. Holiday party or something.
It's I wouldn't wait that long. It's not. I've been out of practice so much. I've been traveling so much.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a fun side of my interview that I like to do with everybody, and this is your rapid fire. Ready for it? We're calling it the side gig.
Okay.
All right. So these are fun, fast questions. Don't overthink it, but just dying to know what your answer is. First, what do you miss most about living in South Africa?
Cape Town and being in safari.
Oh, being in safari. I've never done that. It's on my list.
Can't replicate it. It's not available anywhere else.
Yeah. Wow. What's one app on your phone that you can't live without?
So it's historically been the Air Canada app.
No. Hopefully not for long.
But now I'm really making it the ChatGPT app and testing it and making it do stuff for me that I didn't realize.
Isn't it great though? I mean, some of the things
are
pretty awesome, and I get more and more excited to try and use it.
Yeah.
To shortcut whatever I can, right? What's one piece of advice you'd give your 25-year-old self?
Okay, well, that's a long one, but I'll do it quick. I would say take the well-meaning advice from the adults,
from the elders,
but investigate on your own. And the worst that can happen is someone will say no.
I love that. I do like that, because a lot of people are quick to not want to take advice from people who've been there before, and it's like, just take it. Like you don't have to use it, but just take it. So I love that. What's your favorite way to spend a day off?
So we start with a nice cup of coffee. I take my dogs for a walk, and then I want to do something active. So it could be tennis, golf, bike riding, but something like that. And then we'll close the day with like a family dinner. Like I love my Sunday night dinner. We do, we have the family over. We do dim sum Sundays.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
So we'll have to find a good dim sum place in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to have to find some indoor sports for you too in the wintertime. If you like to do something active in February, not so easy to be outside.
Toronto's not exactly.
That's true. That's true. So you're used to the cold. Yeah. There you go. What's your biggest guilty pleasure?
Ice cream.
Any particular flavor that's a must-have?
I like if I'm doing ice cream, mint chocolate chip. If I'm doing gelato, then it's pistachio. But like when my kids were growing up, I'd go, "We're going for ice cream," and they'll go like, "Why? Like we didn't do anything."
Oh yeah,
like,
you're like, because I want it.
I want it.
You'll have to try Homer's Burgundy Cherry. I'll get you a pint. It's very good.
Okay.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
So I feel like I was saying Shawshank Redemption before everybody else said it. So because everybody else said it, I have another one, and it's My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Oh, that is so great.
It's so fun.
Like it's great. Makes you laugh.
It makes you.
I think even though it's about life being from a Greek family, there's so many parts of it that I could put into the Irish family of how I grew up. It's just all families are messy,
it's that
neurotic,
merging of cultures and everything.
Yes.
Because there's that classic line, and it reminds me sort of my dad and the CPA thing. There's that classic line where she's inviting her fiance over for her first meal, and she says to her mother, "Listen, he's a vegetarian," and she says, "It's okay, he'll have lamb." And I always think of my dad. I go like, "I'm going to go into business." That's good. You'll be a CPA.
Totally. Yes, they know exactly what's best for you. Yeah. All right. Last question. What's one thing people might be surprised to learn about you? Obviously, we already know you're a drummer. So what else do you got for me, Gavin?
I'm very sentimental.
Very sentimental.
Yeah, I cry at weddings. I cry at weddings. And it turns out, as I was going through stuff at my house, I have literally kept every single card every single human has ever written to me.
That is amazing.
And I just couldn't bring myself to throw them away. So I have cards from my dogs. I have all these things. And so...
so I have to ask, is your wife the same way, or is she like the opposite?
I don't know where her cards are. So I think she does keep certain ones. I was shocked by what I had kept.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then I was so glad that I did.
Yeah. Well, see, that's a good benefit of moving because when you're moving, you suddenly have to go through these boxes and you're like, oh my God, I forgot about all this stuff. Yeah. So, well, Gavin, I wish we had a ton more time.
It was
it's
so
been
much
great
fun.
chatting with you.
Yeah.
I love having you here at Goose Island. I love visiting you on the 4th floor, but I'm even more excited about all the fun stuff we're going to be doing together.
Yeah, look forward to working with you. You're our largest partner.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So looking forward to it. All right. Thanks, Gavin.
Awesome. Thank you.
And everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning into Core Values, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.